All right. Should all be live now. Should all be hitting YouTube. I see some ads popping up, so we should be all good to go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are plate racing a week early here with this Xfinity race at Road America. It was looking towards a very fun race to build lines for because there are so many people, and even now it still shows that there's so many people that are projected to hit value and get extremely good point per dollar wise that actually, man, I started that horrible. I mean, we can still see that there's a lot of people who are going to hit value, but it's very much a situation where there's no reason to play anybody starting inside the top 20. With only 45 laps in the race, fast laps and laps led are non-existent. They even become more non-existent if you end up having multiple lap leaders. I currently have Larson and Gibbs carrying all of those fast laps and laps led, basically. And I don't see it really worth trying to chase Larson or Gibbs, in my opinion. I don't really, and unless, so this is where we come up with we're at a crossroads of two places. One, a race where it's going to be you're playing guys from the back. It's very much uh, a plate race, um, to where you need to play place differential plays. It's a situation to where you can either go one of two directions when you're trying to get different today, and it's going towards guys that I just don't think people are actually going to play, and hopefully that they kind of work their way into being optimal, or just using the fact that they're going to have less ownership to be optimal or to be different. There's a chance that people just play stupidly and don't play the people they should play in the back of the field, and some people go under owned. Right now, in my tiny peanut brain, the people that I see not carrying the ownership that I think they not even should, but I think people are gonna just glance over them and not even bother playing them. I think it's Bailey Curry. I think Josh Williams is an extremely good play because people are going to want to go to Joe Graff Jr., and I don't think Joe Graff Jr. performs that well today. I got Joe Graff Jr. at 26 points. I think people overplay Brandon Brown. I think people will clearly go to Snyder. And so, at least right now, in terms of people in the back that I think you should try and get to at least get different, especially if you need the salary relief, I think it's Williams and Bailey Curry. In terms of the people that you should play, actually, I'm going to move this to my screen just so we can kind of go through and rank everybody and talk about where we think ownership and stuff is going to go. So let me go ahead and move this here. As I do that, thank you for joining me, everybody in the chat right now. 2080, you guys, early on a Saturday morning. I know it's usually an early show for Sundays, but we got to kind of get this through and over with before the Cup Series start start practicing at 10:30 this morning, which won't even be broadcasted on TV. And I'm personally not paying any bucks to stream NASCAR practice when they don't show anything. But Weska, Dave, Big Grip, thank you guys for joining and being here early in the morning. So we'll talk about Gallagher and Partis shortly. Brian, yeah. No problem, Clutch Trick. I still appreciate you listening. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Let me move this here. Let me share this screen. All right. So, here we are looking at the Xfinity Series at Road America. We'll kind of go through, we'll talk about Gallagher and Partis as I get to him, Dave. Let's talk about Snyder real quick. And so, Snyder has been pretty dang horrible at any racetrack this year, and it's because Jordan Anderson is an idiot. I don't know why he even bothered making this team. It's remember when I tweet out that this will probably be one of the worst decisions he ever makes, and Anderson likes that tweet. The man is clearly struggling with making quality decisions, and when we look at how Snyder has performed in the car this year, it's been absolutely horrible. It's because the car isn't up to standards, and now, or it isn't up to what the field has. Now, when we look at Snyder's skill at a road course, it clearly elevates this car. And I would say that for anybody in this race, if you're a good road course driver, you can elevate the car to being pretty good. When we look at Snyder's finishes and races, we can easily see that Snyder's around a 22nd place driver at the low end. 25th place would be absolute bottom of the barrel projections for today. I don't envision that we'll see him absolutely tear the field up and finish top 10, but there is a chance that he can do that based on how um, not how crappy the field is, but really there's so many people in the top portion of the race. So let's I really don't want to rank it as A because there's gonna be people who hop in here and be like, oh, so you want us to play Larson and stuff. Let's not rank Larson and Gibbs, but Herbst personally not in it for me. When we look at Cole Custer, not there. Sam Mayer is going to fall back. Even if Sam Mayer finishes seventh, still not going to be outscored. Like there's clearly guys in the back of the field that are going to be scoring high 50s and in the 60s, and these guys just can't compete. And so we're not going to any of these people here. And so we can clearly say, at least between third and 11th, that there's a chance that Snyder can outscore these guys in terms of what they score and what he scores. Him at $7,800. I think he will carry quite a lot of ownership. But when we get back here, the people you should play, and you don't need me to tell you this, but the standout plays back here are this is where I assume this is where I'm at for like all the A's and stuff. I still have Weatherman in there just because they didn't add Awuji. Don't play Weatherman because Awuji isn't going to be there. So this is where we're at right now. These are the standout guys right here. And then once you get through, the great plays, then you get to people like Jeb Burton, who has had almost the opposite of what Snyder has had. Jeb Burton has had absolutely terrible luck, very similar to Chris Wright at road courses. And even then, I don't understand the pricing behind this. Him at 5,800 ducks, 5,800 bucks. I just don't. I don't understand that play. And when you might look at me and be like, well, when you look at practice, he was pretty slow and stuff. Look, these guys were not able to get really any types of laps in practice. When we look at the amount of laps a lot of these guys ran, they clearly went out, understood or saw something they didn't like, and quickly went back in. That's why I'm not concerned about AJ with his brake issues, because he can look they can flush the brake lines, they can replace the system if they feel the need to, and if they even feel like it's a caliper issue, they can replace that. They've had plenty of time. That's not a situation that I'm worried about. Nemechek in the Sam Hunt car. Like, of course we're going to play Sam. Of course we're going to play John Nemechek in this car. It's $8,600 at a road course, and we can say that, look, John Nemechek does elevate this car every week in and week out. But certainly starting DFL, starting the back of the field in the Xfinity series, in a race to where laps led are non-existent, and you need people that are going to move up. I'm not concerned about this car at all. When we look at Jeb Burton, I'm not concerned about it at all as well. So now that we've talked about those guys, when we get to on the wrong one. When we get to Snyder is he's a good play. Whatever the case is, these are the primary guys you should be targeting once you're here. And then once we're here, we kind of get to see. I'm not a big fan of the Ty Dillon. I know they're like, oh, but JD Motorsports had help from RCR and getting this car squared away. I still don't want to necessarily deal with that. I'd rather it be just a fully funded RCR car where there's much better plays around these guys. I think Castle and Partis are all good plays. And congratulations, you have now witnessed the player pool that you should be using first and foremost. The primary cars that I envision carrying some sort of ownership. The plays that I just think you should go for. I mean, this is it right here. And so once we get past this, clearly you're not doing a Wooji, you're not doing him. I don't personally have a lot of confidence in Will Rogers. I certainly don't have confidence in Chris here. At this point, I would probably end up being curious about Gallagher. Gallagher and Williams are the two people that I would probably highlight as guys that maybe you should throw in your line as a situation to where you just need to try and get different. You just need to try and play guys that are going to be just. I'm not like I said. It's not even not owned at what they should be, but compared to everybody else, and certainly in a contest of only 8,000 people, which I believe the Xfinity Series contest is. I don't think you have to get too crazy. Personally, for me, I would try and get off of Brown, and I would certainly try and get off of Joe Graff Jr. at this point. This is where I would rank these guys here. This is pretty much my opinion of the day. In terms of ownership or in terms of where the people are going to go, I think you could very easily look at most A's. I'm just pretty high on Josh Williams today. I think he's going to be a fantastic play to get different. And very similar to when you look at Josh Williams and what he can bring to the car, he's $4,500. He doesn't necessarily need a lot. Um, when you're chasing a lot of the big place differential plays, and granted, you might not even be in as aggressive as place differential as I am, but say if you do want to get to Hemrick, if you do want to get to Andy Lally, if you do want to get to Miguel Paludo, if you do want to get to Justin Allgaier, you're going to end up finding yourself down in the 4K range. And I think Williams should very easily, blow um, blow his price out of the water, just because look, Williams takes care of the equipment, whether it's the BJ cars or whether it's DGM cars in the past. We're going to see Williams most likely end up finishing the race around 24th, 23rd. That's going to be perfectly fine for his price. If he was any more expensive, I wouldn't be as high on him, but that's where I'm at. And so once we get past these drivers here, then we can start moving up and seeing, okay, we want to kind of dip our toes in guys in the front that can possibly outscore Larson or Gibbs, and not necessarily have guys who need the lead laps. And now, uh, first and foremost, Allgaier was not concerned, but he was pondering what his team's going to do because he's not exactly happy with the car. They think they could make adjustments and not be sent to the rear of the field. It doesn't necessarily matter if they are or not. But at this point, when we're looking at guys in the teens and very similar to building plate race types of lineups, I would probably go, and this is why I like using the letter systems and stuff, but if people join later, they're gonna be like, "Why is Allgaier an A?" Like, but around the starting area that he's at, I would probably rank it Allgaier and Barry there. I'm not gonna play Moffitt. I don't like the upside of LeBay compared to people behind him. I would much rather go to. I'm gonna be a little more aggressive. I would much rather go to Anthony Alfredo here. Personally, I'm not going to go to Jones. I don't see a real reason to play him because I would much rather play Hemrick. I'd much rather play Miguel. I'd much rather play John Hernimacek. I mean, there's so many more plays in the AK range than Brandon Jones. I would just not get to him. I probably wouldn't go to Sage if you're feeling feisty. If you're feeling you want to get different and you feel like you're just playing an absolute chalk line. I mean, one that you can just guarantee is duplicated. I think Balicki is a very, very interesting play today. I wish it's very crazy because I envisioned Balicki running pretty well this weekend. I envisioned him running around 15th to 13th and probably finishing around 10th today. It's a shame he qualified so well, but that should be a testament to what he has in the car. I think at $5,400, he can very easily kind of maintain his running position and where he's starting. And as long as he doesn't get ran off the road or get something stupid, I don't think he'll necessarily be optimal. He'll certainly need a race to kind of get stupid and have guys wreck in the back of the field to be at least a contender for that. But Balicki is probably the farthest up that I would go, and that would be like a guy that I would have maybe one or two lines after that. There's not really anybody ahead here that I want to go. Now, if you fully believe that one of these two fellers runs away with the race, um, I'm concerned that one or both of them, lead the first two stages and then get passed and pushed down to around fourth and fifth today. Like, I would not be shocked to see Ty Gibbs finish, third today or second today with some laps led and stuff and not be optimal. I wouldn't be shocked to see Larson run away with stage one and stage two and then end up finishing around fourth or something and not being optimal. That's the main concern with practically no laps in this race. And so, that's really where I'm at in terms of wanting to build lines and where I'm wanting to go. I think Williams and Gallagher are pretty aggressive plays for GPPs, but that's just where I'm at. You don't necessarily have to get that crazy. Like, I don't think Sieg is going to carry the ownership or a lot of ownership. I don't even think Nemechek and Burton are going to carry him as, like, I don't think they're necessarily going to be, you know, outrageously expensive. Like, AJ might end up pushing, 60% ownership. But I don't think anybody else necessarily kind of breaks the ownership stuff. It just what lineup construction you're kind of running with, and at that point, you know what I mean. I was gonna build a lot of lines for this race, but just because, look, there's so many good plays, and really the A's here kind of show where I want to go, and then kind of put in B's and C's here and there. I'm probably gonna do like 1 or 2 lines today. I'm not gonna get too crazy, um, and yeah, that's really where I'm at. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and take this off now that you've kind of seen this stuff. And we got some super chats in here. I do apologize. I was just absolutely stuck in here. Well, I'll get to those in a second. Thank you very much for the donation, Dave and BVP. It'll probably be, I'm going to guess, because we also have to remember that this race is so long. I would not be shocked if this race pushes 2.5 hours, okay? Because the Xfinity Series, if they throw a yellow, and they probably will, a green flag lap here is like 138 seconds. What is that? 2 minutes? 2 minutes, 25 seconds, somewhere around there. Under caution, this is like a freaking 10-minute lap. It might even be a bit higher, because I'm not exactly sure what the pace speed is here. But if they're doing 80 around this whole track, I mean, we might end up pushing like an 11, 12-minute caution lap. I forgot exactly what it was last year, but it's going to be brutal. Maybe less than that. Maybe around an 8-minute lap. Either way, the caution periods here are probably going to be around 18 minutes. That's just what I see. And so this is going to be an extremely long race. We get 4 yellows. I mean, that's close to an hour under pacing just right there. And 2 of those are guaranteed with the stages. If you're racing for the win, which I believe that a lot of these people are going to do, a lot of people know what they're doing, and certainly when we look at Nemechek, when we look at AJ, when we look at Miguel, when we look at Andy, when we look at Hemrick, when we look at Castle, even people like Ty Dillon or Ryan Sieg, they're going to run for the win. They're going to be short pitting before the stage. And even if they don't, they're going to have the speed to pass the cars that have no business being started in front of them. I imagine it's going to be probably a 2 pit stop race. Some might try and do it in 1. I don't think that's necessarily the winning strategy. But it's AJ's race to lose. That's really what it is. I think was it Road America last year? I don't remember which one it was. I expect this is a race that I expect cautions late in the race. We'll probably end up having a green-white checkered race, and at that point, you're just at the mercy of where all these idiots are going and what they're doing and stuff. But probably two stopper. I don't think this is necessarily a John Nemechek question, as in a question for really the whole field, and I think I kind of answered it. Let me remove this. I think I kind of answered it a bit. When we look at how short how short the practice was. So not only do we have the short practice where some teams, if you didn't like what you had automatically, you just duck back down the pit road and try to make some adjustments. Then you go out. Like, look, even when we were looking at the Q sessions, dude, you'd piss away about 7 minutes of the session getting your lap warmed up, like leaving pit road, taking hitting their fake start finish line. And I mean, you're really just wasting a whole lot of time. And so it was a situation where a lot of people didn't run a ton of laps. And so even when you look at AJ only ran 3 laps and ducked down to pit road saying, look, we got an issue here. When you look at other people, Jeb Burton ran 2 laps, one at full speed, one just coming back down. Clearly didn't like something in just how the car felt there. Brandon Brown didn't run a whole lot of laps, really under green. Like, I'm not counting any lap that I see of them coming down to pit lane that was just slow. Anthony Alfredo basically ran the whole session, but he really didn't change anything, in the session itself. And they made some stuff to qualify. I don't know why I'm talking. I don't know why I'm doing so bad. I'm like super, super tired. When you look at Hemrick's time, he fell off a cliff. And this is also this can be, where you catch somebody in traffic, what your car's feeling like. Like, Hemrick is going to have a stupid fast car today. But when you look at where he qualified and where he was in practice, he really had the fourth best car in practice, but he ended up qualifying around 20th. And you also need to remember that the second period or the second qualifying group was extremely slower compared to the first group. And so if you had a very fast car in Group A, and you just happened to qualify seventh in that group, you most likely would have been in the top 5 in the second group. And I think that was due to the temperature of the track going down. But yeah, like it was or maybe it was going up. I don't exactly remember exactly. I don't remember why I viewed it as being that drastically slower, because even the TV stated, but they didn't give a reason why, and so I was trying to imagine what was the reason. But anyway, I'm not concerned about what these practice speeds are. I'm not really worried about that. Like let's use LeBay as an example here. LeBay did 2 laps, came back down pit road, and only had time to do one more after they made an adjustment. Same thing with Andy Lally, same thing with Jeremy Clements. Um, there was just not a lot of time to do laps, and so I'm not worried about the qualifying. I'm not worried about the practice speed for any car. Really, I'm leaning more things towards what these drivers can do. Like Brandon Brown, I'm very much worried that he's going to end up trying to do something stupid. And they are drastically down in the owner points, and I would not be shocked if Brandon Brown stays out in both stages to try and get points, because they desperately need them. It's kind of same thing with Joe Graff Jr. Like Joe Graff Jr. is a guy who is just slow in general. His times of the line, he didn't go down pit road at all. He stayed out the whole session trying to get laps in, and he was extremely, extremely slow. And so maybe you do need to look at it in context of like where are all their laps, and like did they stay out the whole time? They were just slow in general. Like Ryan Vargas was slow the entire race, even though he didn't he didn't make the race. But when we look at stories and we look at how certain teams are running, I'm throwing out the practice data unless it was a car that's pretty much a back half of the field car, running the entire time, just trying to find speed for qualifying and stuff. We'll see. This is a race where I don't care one way or the other who wins. Thank you very much, Dave. I'm very happy that you think that. Thank you for the support. 50 you guys here early Saturday morning, early in the month. 5 weekends of racing this month, ladies and gentlemen. Even if you take out F1, I think this is a fantastic week to hop in, see what you're doing, or see what we're doing on the Patreon. We got people donating money in here. BVP and Dave, always good support. BVP is like on his 8th or 9th stream straight of donating some cash and stuff to the program. I think that should be, a good enough advertisement there. But you get 5 race weekends for $40. That's including every single race for the Truck, Xfinity, and the Cup Series, on top of previous race data, on top of previous fantasy DFS data. Consider July being the month that you kind of try it out. Or if you feel like doing the F1 as well, that's if you do the F1 and NASCAR, that's 5 weekends of racing and close to probably 15. I'm going to say 19 races, 18, somewhere around there between the F1 races and all the NASCAR races. And so really, this is the first time in a while that we've had a 5 weekend month. And so, if you guys join on Patreon, I will add you into the sheets right off the bat, because it's July the 2nd. Perfect time to join and support us here. But thank you very much, Dave. And thank you for calling me the GOAT. I do appreciate it. BVP, as I just said, thank you very much. And so this is another thing. I had 2 people yesterday ask, so, this is my line. I got Larson, and I'm like, there's no way I'm playing Larson here. You don't need the lap leader. I don't know why people are wanting to play Gibbs or Larson here, just due to the fact that we have so many people in the back of the field. And it might be a situation to where, Larson, like I got Larson 47 points today. I got Gibbs for 62, but I got guys behind him starting higher up. I got people behind them starting farther back that are going to score probably similar, if not higher. And I don't even project, guys being like, my projections aren't stupid aggressive. Like Hemrick today, for example. I have Hemrick for around a 10th place finish. I think there's a chance that he ends up getting much higher than that and easily scoring in the mid 50s and stuff. I think we can say that for people like Lally, people like Josh Berry, people like Justin Allgaier. And so I just don't really have a reason to play Larson or play AJ Allmendinger today, or not AJ Allmendinger. I don't have a reason to play Larson or Ty Gibbs today just because I don't think it's worth it. And these people are going to not lead the entire stages. I mean, I did say, look, I think these two guys kind of dominate, stage 1 and 2, but these guys are going to be pinning before the stage. And so they're not going to lead probably the last 2 laps of the stage. Probably 1 or 2 laps under yellow, they're not going to lead. Yellow also takes away the fast laps here. And so you just end up, instead of having really 45 laps led and 45 fast lap points, you get into a situation where, yes, you're going to have the 45 laps led, but you might end up in a situation where this race might only have like 29 laps that are able to be qualified under fast laps. And so, if people want to play Larson and Gibbs and stuff like that, and I assume that they're going to pair them with AJ Allmendinger, by all means, go right ahead if they want to do that. But I don't see a reason to build that way. I think there's fantastic plays. I ranked them for you. I went through the field and showed the people that I think you should really have in your player pool. And I just don't see a reason why people would want to play Larson and stuff. But yeah, thank you for the support, BVP. I do appreciate it. 54 you here. Thank you very much for being here. Join us early on this Saturday. And that's really about it. I'll be here for a few more minutes if you guys want to hop some questions in or ask anything. But other than that, that's really the breakdown for this race. It really is plate week, 1 weekend early for this. I'm hoping that the Cup Series ends up qualifying guys where they should, and so it'll be somewhat fun to build lines. I don't necessarily really like just chasing place differential, or being forced chase place differential on the road courses, just because it kind of takes away the fun of building lines and stuff, because we're kind of forced to a tunnel. And like I said, I kind of do like Williams to get different, especially if people are going to want to chase Larson. Like if Larson's at like 20%, I think that's, 20% of the lines are dead. Whatever Gibbs is at, I think those lines are dead. Or at least I'm not directly competing against those lines. And like, I want to build a very balanced line today. I don't really see a reason to just stack in all like the 10K guys and stuff. I like the balanced line. I like chasing place differential, and I think your real player pool should probably be 22nd on back or 21st on back if you do like partisan stuff. But yeah, that's really where I'm at and how I feel. And I'm not seeing any more which I don't imagine I'll see any more comments. And pretty straightforward type of slate here. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'll end up filming the F1 video later today. I'll upload that. I'll be live tomorrow, probably same time, 8 a.m. Talking about the Cup Series tomorrow. So thank you guys for joining. And like I said, do consider. I mean, it's going to be a great value month for the Patreon. So, if you haven't done it, or if you've done it in the past and you want to just do it again, feel free to join the I'm doing a terrible sales job today. I don't know. I'm like super, super tired. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And best of luck in this race. I'll see you guys then.